Hey guys, welcome to Video Game Corner. It's me, Jason, and I'm sorry I haven't made a video in 2 months now. There's a reason. As the title's gonna say, or it says, I was in the hospital again. I made the video back in February showing SteamWorld Dig, and I was talking about the PlayStation Plus free games. Excuse me. And the whole thing is, I took shortly after. Sorry, my brain is farting. Shortly after, I went into the hospital, and it was pretty bad. And you know, I've been thinking about it, and I've decided I'm gonna explain everything. And just so you guys know, it's very graphic. It may be like you guys may sit there and say, you know, TMI, which I think is silly, you know, but it may be too much information for you guys. So if you guys don't want to hear the details, then then don't listen. And for those of you guys, I'm going to post this on April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke. Trust me, okay? I've been just procrastinating on this video, and today I finally got in the mood to do it. And it just happens to be April 1st. Trust me, I swear to God, I swear on my children that this is not an April Fool's video, okay? Here's the thing. Not right after, but shortly, within a week, and I was going to be working on more videos. Like I said, I wanted to start working on more stuff. As you guys know, I have Crohn's disease, and I have a colostomy bag because of it, because I had an abscess that was about that big around and that long on my upper part of my colon. And it was blocking everything, and I almost died, and I lost like 156 pounds. I was scrawny and sickly looking. I was pretty bad. Now I'm a fat bastard again, and I kind of wish I hadn't gained the weight back, but at the same time, I'm feeling healthier. I mean, it was bad. I mean, my hair was like, I have really long hair. I don't know if you guys have ever, I mean, some people know. See, I have really long hair. It's actually down to the middle of my back, and when you pull it, because it curls, it's actually down the middle of my back, and I can put my hand back and pull on it. And here's the thing: when I had long hair then, but it wasn't as long as this. But it had like, and I was looking at some pictures about a week ago that my wife had on her phone. And my hair just looked really dry and dead, and it was really bad, because basically what was happening is I had about 5 gallons of backed up poop inside of me at any given time, and my colon was stretched out like that because I had what's called toxic megacolon. And it would, you know, get better, get worse. I mean, it was always back and forth, but at the end it was so bad, and my hair just felt so dead, because what was happening is my the toxins were just, my body was so busy fighting these toxins that were in my body, all this poop, that it didn't have time to put, you know, the nutrients into my body that needed it, like my hair. And you know, my skin and my hair and everything was just bad. And this is before I even started doing the channel, so you guys have never even seen me like that. It was awful. And I was in pain all the time. I'm still in a lot of pain, but this was worse. And I remember I'd break down crying because I couldn't take it anymore. It was awful, and the doctors wouldn't even really look and see what was going on. I finally went to the hospital after taking over a week of antibiotics, and I wasn't getting better. And they finally found the abscess, and they said that this is why, and they took it out, had to put a colostomy in. I gained a fistula over the colostomy. If you guys know what a fistula is, it's basically like this hole. And it had to do with where the tubes were. They put all these tubes in you. And they got all the tubes out, except this last one that was right over, because poop started coming out of this tube, and that wasn't supposed to happen. But we took the tube out like a week after I got out of the hospital. This last one, and excuse me, it was poop was coming out of this, and the doctor was worried because they'd have to operate, and he didn't really know what to do at first. So he's trying to figure it out, and so it eventually closed, and then I go to the doctor, and he's like, he's glad it's closed, but then after that it got all infected, and it reopened like a week later, and I haven't seen so much pus in my life. It's pretty nasty. But it closed up again, thankfully, and it healed. So I have a nice little scar there, a little dip, a little dimple above the, the stoma is what they call your piece of your colon that comes out where it poops into the bag. For those of you who know what a colostomy bag, basically they cut my colon, sewed it up, and I still have it all back there. And they moved it to the side of my stomach, and they put a bag on to catch the poop. And but here's the weird thing, and this is a side note. When I have to go poop really bad, you know, like when you have to go poop really bad, and you feel that sensation in your butthole just before it's ready to come out. I still get that sensation down there, but it comes out on my stomach. It's the weirdest feeling, because the plumbing was disconnected, but the nerves, the wiring, it's still the old wiring. It's really weird. So I can feel it down there, and nothing's of course, going to come out down there, but it's coming out on the side. So anyway, let's go. I had to tell you all that, not the last part, but I'd tell you about the colostomy to go by why I was in the hospital. Well, I had the surgery done in end of 2011, so it's been a little over 3 years. What had happened is there was poop left over in there that they don't go in and just take it out. It has to work its way out. And of course, you don't eat for a few days before the surgery. So they take what was ever, was out around the area they're working in, but anything before and past that, they leave alone. They let it just come out. Because for the first 3 days, I had black sludge coming into the bag that was left over, more toxic poop coming out that was in there for so long. And then in my butt, about a month later, little pieces were coming out, little tiny ones about yay big. And for the last 3 years, I've been having little bits and pieces come out. Well, there's like this hard one in there that I knew about, and it just wouldn't break up, and I didn't want to go in and use enemas and try to flush. I didn't really know what to do. So every time I poop, I try to push it out. Well, just before I made that last video, I had pushed a little too hard, and I started bleeding a little bit, and I didn't think much about it at first, because I bled a little bit here and there in the past, but it wasn't big. But I was bleeding on a regular basis, and what had happened is I found out later at the hospitals that I had caused what's known as an anal fissure. And an anal fissure basically is when a poop tears the inside of your colon wall in your rectum. And it's very painful, and it bleeds. And now, here's the thing. Usually it'll just heal. Fissures aren't that big a deal but here's the thing. When I had the heart attack back in 2000 and the end of 2012, or 2013, after my birthday, in 2013, I started taking Plavix and aspirin. So I was taking blood thinners. So all this blood's coming out because my blood's really thin. So, and I was kind of getting ready to come off the Plavix because you take it for a year. My doctor wanted to take it a little bit longer just to make sure. And for a few days, for off and on for a couple weeks, I'm pooping blood and then stopping and then blood's coming out. Then one day I start coming out and these big chunks of poop are coming out. And I'm like, that's weird. This has been in there for a while. Turns out that wasn't poop. It was blood, but they were blood clots. and the blood clots were like this big. They're the size of poops. They're like the size of a leech. That's what they look like, little leeches. And I've never seen anything like that in my life. They're these big honking blood clots. And basically I'm pooping out all this like liquidy water, but it's blood. So at first I'm not too worried, and I'm thinking, it usually stops. Well, one night, excuse me, one night it didn't stop. It just kept going. And then all these clots are just plump, plump, plump coming out. I don't know how many came out. Well, we don't have a car at the moment. We're about to get our car. They're working on our car right now. And I just got the tags for my van. Excuse me, sorry. I still have bad allergies. So, I'm going in and out of the bathroom for like an hour every like 5-10 minutes. And all this, like, I don't even know what it is. It feels like water, but it turns out it's blood. So we call an ambulance. And the guy that was at the ambulance remembered me because he was the one that saved my life. His name was Stefan. When I had the heart attack, he's the one that caught the heart attack before we went to our local hospital where they can't do anything. And he was able to take me up to Visalia, which is 30 miles away. And they were able to save my life. Or fix the problem. I don't know if I was really in danger, but I could have been. I mean, a heart attack's serious, even though it wasn't a major one. So, he, I was able to actually say thank you for doing what you did, even though I should have gone sooner, but it's one of those things where you keep meaning to do it, and you think about the person a lot, but you never actually do. So I got to really tell him thank you, and he really appreciated it, which it made me feel better to be able to talk to him. So I get to the hospital, and I couldn't even hold it. I'm wearing, I put on a clean pair of underwear and sweatpants. I ended up pooping my pants full of blood. I couldn't even stop it. Because you got to remember, my muscles down there, I don't use them anymore, so I can't hold stuff in like I used to. They're just, they don't get used like they used to. Except when I'm fighting like a boss battle in Dark Souls or something, and I'm having trouble and I clench my butt cheeks, but just thought I'd throw that little bit of humor in there, but anyway. So I get to the hospital, and they they take me into a room, and it just keeps coming out. I'm starting to get a little worried because I'm not really in pain yet. I'm not really in pain at all, but I start thinking about how my mom died. My mom, they put a stent in and they screwed it up, and she hemorrhaged and died. And she was taking Plavix at the time because she had a clot in her right hip, and they were going to do an operation the following week, but some other doctor decided to do this, and he killed her because he tore the stent, and she bled out internally. She hemorrhaged, and she died bleeding to death internally, which is scary. I didn't want that to happen to me, but I know my stuff wasn't internal. It was coming out, but I didn't want it to just start bleeding nonstop because I don't think they're going to do anything to stop it right away. I just don't trust hospitals and doctors anymore. I used to trust them a lot more, but it seems like they have no sense of let's hurry up and fix a problem. They're like, let's do a test that takes 2 hours. And you could die at any point. They're not going to they can't do anything to stop it. I mean, the only way to fix something like a bleeding like this is to cauterize it. And I'm like, take a freaking torch and shove it up my butt and burn the crap out of it, fix it later. Stop that bleeding. That's my thinking on it. I don't need that area anymore anyway. But I'm sure that's what they wouldn't do. I'm sure they'd try to stop the bleeding somehow, and I'd probably die. I mean, I don't know enough about medicine. Maybe my method wouldn't work either, but I know they do cauterize anal fissures if they don't stop bleeding. But they do it, I don't know. So they bring one of those, those little seats where you poop into it. You sit down next to the bed so you don't have to run back to the bathroom. Because when I got there, I went right into the bathroom. I was in there for 30 minutes. And it just kept coming out and wouldn't stop. And they got me one of those seats, so I rushed over and I kept in the seat. And every time I'd wipe my butt, they gave me some bunch of toilet paper, and I wiped my butt, and it felt like I was putting a big wad of toilet paper like in water on my butt. It was off. There was so much blood. And I'm kind of getting nervous, and they came in, they drew blood. They drew a little bit of blood to make sure that I had to test my hemoglobin. So I'm going through this for like 5 hours straight, basically. 5 hours I'm going through this. And I had met with that earlier that day. I'd walked over about a block away, because the hospital's 2 blocks from my house, which is good. But I had met with this gastroenterologist doctor, gut doctor, and he actually came into the hospital and he was checking me, and I thought he gave me the impression he's kind of a jerk. And his name's well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say his name. I know that I'll probably never get back, to him, but I'm not going to say his name. Anyway, he was a jerk, and he comes in, and without even telling me, he's looking. He says, "Oh, let me look." He just shoves his fingers up my butt, and I'm like, "Ow!" And he's like, "Does that hurt?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Why don't you tell me you're going to do that?" He doesn't even tell me. So he says, "Okay," and then he just walks off, and he's just so rude. And I will say he's from India, and I've noticed every doctor I've met from India in that hospital, and the one that did my heart, they're very rude. I don't know if it's the culture. Maybe the culture is more of a, that's just the culture. I don't know. Maybe the culture's more of a rough personality. I don't know. I don't get it. It just seems like doctors from the United States are always very pleasant, and then doctors from India are very, they just don't really pay attention, they don't listen, they just kind of do whatever. They have a shitty bedside manner. And I'm going to have to sit down with somebody from India and try to figure out this problem one day, and ask if it is a cultural thing. Excuse me. So he was just kind of a jerk anyway. I got that impression when I met with him that morning. I almost walked out of the office because he was just he just struck me as being an ass. And so, and he was going to do all these tests like a month later. So I end up for 5 hours, I'm sitting there just bleeding. And they come back and say, "You didn't lose that much blood." Now, these little tubs that I'm pooping into, I must have pooped out 50 or 60 these leech-sized blood clots. And it was scary, because they're all made out of blood. And then all this water just coming out, which is blood. It's not even water at all, it's blood. And I'm thinking, I didn't even feel dizzy or anything. That's the thing, I didn't feel like I was going to pass out. So I was like, why am I not, like in the movies, someone loses this much blood, they're dead. And, and I know the movies, I can't go by the movies, but it was pretty traumatic for me. It's pretty scary. So they finally blood finally stops coming out, and I finally just go to sleep. For about 5 hours I was sleeping. And they wake me up at like 2 in the morning. And they're like, "We got a room for you." And I'm laying there. I finally quit wiping the blood off. I was just like, I'd poop and I'd just get back in bed and just lay on my side, try not to touch it. Because every time I'd wipe it, it would just trigger it to come out more. And I gave up, because it was just, I couldn't clean it all up, and I'm laying there with blood. So I finally got into a room, and I was able to clean up before. They gave me some wet rags, and I was able to clean up and change into clean clothes. Oh, excuse me. And I was able to get in bed and get some sleep. And it turns out that I didn't lose enough blood to even need a transfusion, because that's what they're worried about. My hemoglobin level, they said I hadn't lost anywhere near enough blood. And I'm like, God, you can lose quite a bit. And the guy, the nurse, he shows me those, those saline bags you get, that they put the saline in you. Because they were pumping saline into me, into an IV. And then they ended up giving me something for my pain later after I was in the room. They gave me some Dilaudid every couple hours. And he shows me, he says, you got about 7 of these in you, and he says, you can lose like 3 of them. And I'm like, really? And it's like, that was just like, it blew my mind that you could lose that much blood and be fine. And then that's before you even start getting into trouble. So, he, yeah, he's like, yeah, you know, you can lose quite a bit of blood. And that's probably why I didn't feel dizzy, like I was going to pass out or anything. I mean, I was tired and beat up, but I wasn't like feeling like I had to pass out. I mean, I was just tired. Because, you know, you go through that and you're, I mean, anybody who's ever had like constipated or stuff and you're pooping out stuff, it wears you out. And so I went ahead and went to sleep, and then the next day the doctor comes in. He doesn't want me, they wouldn't let me eat, of course, because they gave me like a liquid breakfast. It was nasty. I say, don't bring me tea. I don't like coffee or tea. Of course they bring me tea. They never listen to anything you say. They gave me like beef broth and stuff, and just, you know, it felt good to have something in my stomach, but wasn't very good, of course. Hospital food is always the worst, except on occasion. So I went ahead and I was there the next day, so they had to do a test, and they wanted me to drink this. He wanted to check down my throat, up my butt, and into my colostomy. So he did the first test. They wanted me to drink this crap, and I couldn't drink it. It was disgusting. It's like this freaking 2-gallon jug, and they want you to drink the entire thing, and they want you to drink it like a cup every 10 minutes. And it's the nastiest, and it tastes like pineapple. And the one thing I hate more than anything is pineapple flavor, and that's all they carry. So they had to order plain, and the next day when I got plain, I couldn't drink it either. Turns out, this is what happened, because my doctor's such an asshole. He's not my doctor anymore. So what happens was, later that night, he says, well, they'll just do the one up the butt and one down the throat. So they give me a thing, knock me out, and then I wake up in the middle of it. And I'm choking, and I'm trying, because they got a thing in my mouth to keep my mouth open, and they're trying to put the camera down my throat. And I'm fighting with everything I have, and I'm a big, strong guy still, even though I'm disabled, I'm still pretty strong. And it took 4 of them to hold me down, and I'm fighting, and I don't even know why they let me wake up. And it was awful. I felt I couldn't breathe. I'm fighting, and oh man, I'm choking, and I'm going bleh, and I'm dry heaving. Now the thing is, when I dry heave, my colostomy, my stoma, pushes out, and it kind of becomes herniated a little bit. And it got so bad, like, then I have to push it back in, and when it pushes back in, it pops, and it causes a lot of pain for me, which I had to do the next day, and it was very tender and sore for a few days because of that. So, and I couldn't even, like, because usually if I throw up, I hold it, because that way I keep everything held in, and they just, yeah, I couldn't do that while they're holding my wrist. One guy was holding my wrist with all of his weight on it, and he was having a hard time keeping me because I was fighting. And then they had 2 women holding down my legs, and then the doctor was holding down my upper body, trying to get the camera in. When the camera went in, I guess they ended up giving me more stuff to knock me out because they got the camera in, and I finally relaxed, and then they let me go, and then I passed out again, and then I woke up like an hour later. And it turns out that's where they found the fistula. Nothing in my stomach. And then the next day, I talked to him. I said, I can't drink this crap. I just couldn't. I tried to drink the plain. It was the worst. It tastes like liquid cardboard. It was awful. And then it turns out, doctor comes in, he says, well, if you're not going to do it, you don't need to stay here. I was like, I thought we were going to do this next month. And he's like, well, I just figured I'd do it now since you're here. And I'm like, but the problem I came in for, you've found out what it is, right? He says, yeah, you just don't take any blood thinners, and it should heal, and if it doesn't, then you'll have to come back, we'll have to cauterize it. But right now you're okay. And then he tells him, well, if he doesn't want to do the test, just send him home. And it's like the test wasn't even needed. And then I was like, fine, I'll just go home. So it turns out they have to do me AMA, against medical advice, because I didn't take the test. But the thing was, I didn't need the test. And this was a test that was scheduled for a month later. The doctor comes in, he says, you know that follow-up appointment? You don't need to come to it. And I'm like, what an asshole. So this guy has like no understanding of humans at all. And he's in a business, he's in a line of work where he needs to have an understanding of humans. He has no understanding. He doesn't understand that I've been beaten and poked and prodded for the last 2 days, and that I've gone through so much crap that maybe I don't feel so good. I should maybe just give me a, let me take the test in a month. Maybe my thinking will be better. It doesn't even occur to this guy. He just got his feelings hurt and decided, I don't want to be your doctor anymore. You can go to your other doctor. You don't need me. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. And then he tells him if he doesn't want to do the test, he can go ahead and go. And then they're like, I have like a regular doctor that's in charge of my care. He can't discharge me. It's against medical advice. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because what I actually went in there for was actually tested and checked. And what I wasn't in there for, he wanted to check me because he didn't want to do it in a month. When maybe I was feeling better and a lot stronger and all that, and better frame of mind. But that didn't even occur to this guy. And it just goes to show that, these doctors nowadays, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them just have like no sense of people. And they should. And it sucks. But here's the thing. So since all this, after a while, of course, I'm going to take, I took some time to recuperate. And I keep thinking about making videos. And I think about it almost every day. And here's the thing. Being in the hospital as many times as I have, it's taken such a toll on my mental health. And I start to get really just out of sorts with it, I guess. And I talked to my dad about it. My dad's like, you just got to get over it. And he doesn't offer how. He just says, I just got to get over it. And my dad just doesn't understand. He means well, but he doesn't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how to just get over it. I don't really know. I have to just kind of see, because I kind of revert into my shell when I get like this, and I play video games on my couch. I get into my comfort zone and I stay there, and I don't leave the house very much, and I just I get to that line, I get to that way of thinking, and I think to myself, and I want to do other things, but I don't, and it's bad for me. So today I was thinking about it. I've been wanting to, work on some stuff. I want to, I have my secondary channel, Medieval Game Corner, and I'm probably going to close that down because my heart's not really in it. I'd rather do a Dark Souls style, a Souls channel, as a secondary channel, and that's what I'm going to do. It's called I Am Iron Tarkus. I've actually had it set up for a while, but I'm going to start doing work for it. And I'm going to do all my Dark Souls, Bloodborne, stuff there. Except for the occasional, I'll do occasional video here, but I want to, then this will be focused on some indie stuff. Like I just started a game called Axiom Verge that I liked. It's like Metroid style game. It's funny because people say, the reviews are saying, some of them are saying Metroidvania. And it's like, no, it's not Metroidvania. Metroidvania is a Castlevania game played in a Metroid style. But, people are funny. But, anyway, guys, I just want to tell you what is going on. I'm going to start pushing myself to make more videos because I really enjoy doing this. I like doing it. And I think I need to do it for, therapeutic reasons to kind of get past my problems that I'm having mentally. So anyway, like I said, this isn't an April Fool's thing. It's not. This is just when I got the urge to just finally do it. So that's what happened. Anyway, guys, I thank you for all your support. It means a lot, and hopefully I can start making some videos that you guys are actually enjoy watching. So anyway, guys, I'm Jason. This is Video Game Corner. Thanks. Bye.